My friends, not everyone makes it here. Not everyone endures the silent tests that life places before them. But you endured. You carried the weight. You walked through the fire, and you arrived here, still standing, still breathing, still searching. Being chosen is not about strength, but about endurance, humility, and the willingness to listen when the world is loud. Too often, we believe that only the strongest, the most powerful, or the most talented are the ones who rise. But life has a way of showing us something different. Strength alone does not define the chosen ones, because strength without humility is arrogance, and power without endurance is fragile. What truly defines the chosen ones is their ability to keep walking, even when their steps are heavy, even when no one claps for them, even when the road stretches longer than they imagined. The chosen are not those who win easily. They are those who refuse to stop when winning seems impossible. They are the ones who bend but do not break, who stumble but rise again, who carry scars but keep moving forward. Endurance is not glamorous, but it is the silent language of resilience. Anyone can shine when the sun is out, but endurance is proven in the dark nights when doubts whisper, when failures echo, and when quitting feels like the only option. To be chosen means you have been trusted with trials that would have broken another, yet here you stand, not because you are the strongest, but because you endured. Humility plays its role just as powerfully, for the chosen ones do not scream their victories, they do not demand recognition. They walk quietly, carrying wisdom born of pain, learning from each fall without bitterness, giving thanks even for the struggles. Humility is the reason they can listen. In a world full of noise, distraction, and voices competing for attention, only those who cultivate humility have the ability to truly hear what matters. The chosen listen not to the applause, not to the doubts, not to the endless chatter of society, but to the quiet voice within, the voice that whispers direction, the voice that urges them to continue when logic says stop. When the world is loud, most people are lost in confusion, but the chosen ones pause. They are willing to step away from the noise, to listen to silence, to trust the unseen. They do not rush, they do not force, they align. Endurance teaches them patience, humility teaches them gratitude, listening teaches them wisdom. This is why being chosen is not a matter of outward greatness, but an inner alignment that cannot be faked. The chosen are often overlooked, underestimated, or even doubted by others, yet it is this very invisibility that trains them to depend not on recognition but on inner conviction. They walk their path quietly, faithfully, waiting for the moment when their endurance, humility, and willingness to listen come together to reveal the strength of their spirit. Being chosen means you carry burdens others may never understand, but you also carry a resilience others may never possess. It means you are willing to walk when the path is unclear, willing to trust when the evidence is absent, willing to listen when the noise is deafening. The chosen ones know that life is not about avoiding difficulty, but about embracing it, knowing that every hardship is not there to destroy them, but to reveal them. True strength in the end is not about domination, but about preservation. The preservation of faith, of heart, of vision, even when everything seems against you. And so, endurance, humility, and the willingness to listen become the marks of the chosen. Because without these, no strength in the world could carry you through the tests that were meant to shape you. Every struggle you faced was not punishment. It was preparation, shaping you into who you were meant to become. Life has a way of disguising its greatest lessons inside pain, and when you are in the middle of it, it feels like everything is falling apart, like every door is closing against you, like you are being punished for reasons you cannot understand. But what looks like punishment is often the chiseling of the soul. What feels like rejection is often redirection. What seems like delay is often preparation for the exact timing that will align your steps with destiny. The chosen ones discover this truth not in comfort, but in struggle. For only through struggle does the deeper transformation take place. Comfort never forces you to grow, ease never demands your evolution, but struggle stretches you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. When you were facing challenges, it may have seemed unfair, as though life singled you out to carry more than your share of pain. But what you could not see then is that the weight was building capacity, that every hardship was expanding your endurance, and every loss was teaching you to let go of what no longer served you. Each time you were broken down, you were also being rebuilt into someone new. Every tear was cleansing, every disappointment was refining, every closed door was pushing you toward the one that was truly meant for you. The struggles were the unseen classrooms, where lessons could not be taught through words, but only through experience, where wisdom was not handed to you, but carved into your being through fire and pressure. Preparation often comes in the form of silence and waiting. You asked for answers, but instead, you were given more questions. You prayed for ease, but you received greater trials. You sought clarity, but the path became even more uncertain. Yet all of this was preparation. Silence teaches you to listen more deeply. Waiting teaches you patience, trials teach you strength, and uncertainty teaches you faith. Without these, you could never become who you were meant to be. Preparation is not gentle, it is demanding, because it must strip away everything in you that cannot carry the weight of your purpose. It removes arrogance, it burns away fear, it dismantles illusions, until only the true essence of who you are remains. That essence is what was being shaped all along. When you thought you were being punished, you were actually being trusted with pain, because you had the strength to bear it, trusted with loss, because you had the resilience to rise again, trusted with rejection, because you had the vision to find another way. Struggle was never against you, it was always for you, molding your heart, sharpening your mind, awakening your spirit. What you endured became the foundation of your wisdom, the anchor of your strength, and the proof that you were being shaped for something greater than you imagined. Silence from above was never abandonment. It was trust, a test of your ability to walk with faith when no answers were given. There are moments in life when you cry out for direction, when you seek a sign, when you long for reassurance, but instead of a response, you are met with silence. The human heart interprets silence as rejection, as if your prayers went unheard or your efforts were unnoticed. But silence does not mean absence. Silence does not mean you were forgotten. Silence is one of the most powerful ways life and the divine shape the chosen ones. In silence, you are forced to look within, to strengthen your own faith, to cultivate patience, to move forward without the comfort of visible confirmation. The silence is not there to punish you. It is there to prepare you for a greater intimacy with trust. Trust is not proven when the answers are clear and the path is easy. Anyone can walk in confidence when the way is lit. Trust is proven in the dark, when every step feels uncertain, when the destination is hidden, when your mind is filled with doubt, yet your soul urges you to keep moving. In these silent seasons, you are invited to walk by faith, to surrender your need for control, to let go of the demand for instant answers. What you may not see is that silence builds the deepest kind of strength, the kind that cannot be shaken by circumstances, the kind that holds steady even when everything around you feels unstable. Silence is trust. It is life's way of saying, I have given you what you need, now walk. If every prayer was answered instantly, if every request was fulfilled without delay, you would never discover your own capacity to persevere. You would never uncover the depths of your own resilience. The silence forces you to rely not on external voices, but on the inner compass placed within you. That compass is faith, and faith is like a muscle. It does not grow in comfort. It grows when it is tested, stretched, demanded of. The chosen ones are not given silence because they are abandoned. They are given silence because they are trusted to hold on, even when nothing affirms them. Think about the times when you felt most alone, when your cries seemed unanswered, when your efforts felt invisible. Those were the very moments that built you, because they taught you to find strength in stillness. They taught you to walk forward, even when the ground beneath you felt unsteady. They taught you that silence is not empty. It is filled with unseen work, with preparation happening in ways beyond your perception. Just because you could not hear did not mean nothing was happening. Just because you could not see did not mean the plan was not unfolding. Silence strips away dependency on signs and pushes you into dependency on faith. It removes the distractions of constant noise and teaches you to become attuned to the smallest whispers within. It trains you to see not with your eyes, but with your spirit, to believe not because everything is clear, but because you trust in what is unseen. This is why silence is trust. To be chosen means you will encounter seasons of silence, because you are meant to learn how to keep walking when the path is hidden, how to keep believing when there is no evidence, how to keep moving forward when the answers have not yet been revealed. The weight you carried was heavier because your purpose is greater, and your path requires deeper resilience. There are burdens that fall on the shoulders of certain people, not because they are cursed, not because life has been unfair to them, but because the weight they were chosen to carry would prepare them for a role others could never fill. When you feel as though your struggles are harder, when you notice that your lessons come with more pain, it is not because you were abandoned, but because your journey demands more from you. A heavier weight builds a stronger foundation, and your purpose requires you to be strong in ways that others may never understand. Every challenge that came to you carried within it a shaping force. Each hardship you endured was adding to your resilience, carving depth into your character, sharpening your vision for what lies ahead. The reason you had to face storms that others never faced is because your destiny requires you to stand firm in the midst of chaos. The reason you had to carry disappointments and losses is because your purpose requires you to lead others through their own darkness. A shallow journey produces shallow wisdom, but a difficult journey produces wisdom that cannot be shaken. And this wisdom is what you were meant to carry into the world. The chosen ones often wonder why life feels heavier for them. They look around and see others moving with ease, while their own steps feel burdened. What they fail to realize in the moment is that this weight is building endurance, the kind of endurance that allows them to rise again and again, no matter how many times they fall. That endurance becomes their power, their silent strength, the unshakable core that no storm can destroy. The world does not see the weight you carried. It does not see the nights you endured in silence, but the scars you carry are proof that you are being prepared for something far greater than the present moment. A greater purpose always demands a greater cost. It is not given cheaply, it is not handed without trials. Purpose is revealed through fire, and those who are chosen to walk in it must first be refined by struggle. The heaviness you felt was not meaningless, it was the shaping of your spirit to hold more, to lead more, to inspire more. Without that heaviness, without those trials, your voice would lack depth, your presence would lack gravity, your wisdom would lack authenticity. It is only because you carried weight that others could not carry that you now have the strength to stand as an anchor for those who are still stumbling. Resilience is not built in ease, it is built under pressure. Each time you thought you could not continue, but did anyway, you were strengthening muscles that cannot be seen, but can be felt. Each time you endured pain, without losing your compassion, each time you faced loss, without surrendering to bitterness, you were proving that the weight was transforming you rather than destroying you. That is the mark of someone whose purpose is greater. The journey was not meant to be fair, it was meant to be forming. The weight you carried was evidence that you were trusted with more, that your story would one day serve as a guide to others who feel crushed beneath their own burdens. Passing the unseen tests means you are no longer a seeker of purpose. You are now meant to embody purpose itself. Life places before you trials that are not always visible to others, tests that no one else will recognize or applaud you for. These are not tests of knowledge but of spirit, tests that measure patience when impatience tempts you, humility when pride whispers, resilience when quitting feels easier. They are unseen because they happen within, in the silence of your heart, in the solitude of your thoughts, in the quiet choices you make when no one is watching. To pass them means you have proven yourself not only to the world, but to your own soul, and in doing so, you shift from searching for meaning to becoming the living embodiment of meaning. So many spend their lives chasing after purpose as if it is a distant prize, something to be found outside themselves, something hidden in the approval of others, or in the success that can be measured by the world. But those who have walked through the hidden tests discover that purpose is not something you stumble upon, it is something you become. Every sacrifice, every rejection, every night you endured when nothing made sense was shaping you into a vessel strong enough to carry purpose. The search ends when you realize you are no longer asking, "What is my purpose?" but are instead walking as the answer itself. To embody purpose is to live as an example, to turn your scars into wisdom, to transform your struggles into guidance for others. It means you no longer depend on external validation to feel significant, because your existence itself radiates significance. You begin to understand that everything you endured was not random, that nothing was wasted, that each moment of pain was depositing depth within you. The unseen tests proved whether you could handle rejection without losing faith, whether you could be overlooked without becoming bitter, whether you could keep moving forward without the applause of the crowd. Those who pass these tests carry an inner strength that no circumstance can steal. Embodying purpose means living in alignment, where your thoughts, words, and actions flow as one. You do not need to speak loudly about who you are, because your life speaks for you. You no longer live searching for a role to play. You live as the role itself. The storms that once shook you now only remind you of how far you have come. The silence that once frightened you now feels like a companion. The weight that once exhausted you now feels like proof of your capacity. Passing the unseen tests did not make life easier, but it made you unshakable, and in that unshakable state, you discover the essence of purpose itself. Purpose is not an idea, it is a way of being. When you embody it, you walk differently, you see differently, you respond differently. You no longer wait for the perfect conditions to live meaningfully, because meaning flows through everything you do. Whether in the smallest act of kindness or the largest step of courage, you move with intention, you move with presence, you move with truth. That is what the unseen tests were preparing you for. Not to talk about purpose, but to become it. Now is the time to rise, to live without fear, to love without conditions, and to walk as proof that everything was always working for you. There comes a moment when all the struggles you endured, all the silence you survived, and all the weight you carried finally reveal their meaning. That moment is now. You are no longer being tested in the same way you once were. You are no longer wandering in the confusion that once clouded your vision. You stand here with scars that tell a story, with wisdom that was earned, with resilience that was built through countless trials. Rising does not mean you forget the pain or erase the past. It means you allow the past to become the foundation of your strength. It means you step forward with courage, not because the path is easy, but because you now know you can endure whatever comes. To live without fear is not to live without challenges. It is to live with a heart that refuses to be paralyzed by them. Fear whispers of limitations, but you have already proven that you can break through them. Fear tries to convince you that you are not ready, yet your very survival is evidence that you are. To rise without fear is to trust that you are guided, to believe that nothing you face can undo the strength you have gained, to walk boldly into the unknown knowing that the same force that carried you through the darkness will carry you forward into light. Fear loses its grip the moment you decide to live not for security, but for purpose, not for comfort, but for truth. And now comes the call to love without conditions. Pain often tempts us to close our hearts, to guard ourselves so tightly that love cannot enter or flow outward. But the chosen ones discover that true strength is not in closing off, but in remaining open. To love without conditions does not mean you accept everything blindly. It means you choose compassion even when you have been hurt. You choose forgiveness even when you were wronged. You choose to see the humanity in others even when they fail to see it in you. Love without conditions is not weakness. It is the highest form of courage, because it requires you to give without expecting return, to care without measuring the cost, to shine light even in places where darkness has prevailed. Walking as proof that everything was always working for you is the final step of transformation. It means no longer questioning why things happened as they did, no longer regretting the paths that seemed to delay you, no longer resenting the losses that shaped you. Instead, you walk as living evidence that every moment, both joyful and painful, was a thread in the tapestry of your becoming. Proof is not in words, it is in presence. It is in the way you carry yourself with quiet strength, the way you stand unshaken by storms, the way you shine even after the fire. Others may wonder how you survived, how you endured, how you continue to walk with grace, but your very life becomes the answer. To rise now is to accept the calling that has always been on your life. To live without fear is to honor the resilience that was built inside you. To love without conditions is to reflect the truth that has been planted in your heart. And to walk as proof is to embody the realization that nothing was wasted, that all along, everything was preparing you for this moment, this clarity, this awakening of who you truly are. My friends, you have walked through the fire, you have endured the silence, you have carried the weight, and you have passed the tests that no one else could see. What you once thought was punishment has revealed itself as preparation. What you thought was abandonment has shown itself to be trust. What you thought was breaking has proven itself to be shaping. You are not here by chance, you are here by design. You have been chosen not because the path was easy, but because you were willing to walk it when others turned away. Now you stand as living proof, proof that endurance is stronger than talent, proof that humility is greater than pride, proof that silence can teach more than words, proof that heavy burdens can birth unshakable resilience, proof that purpose is not something you chase, it is something you become, proof that fear cannot control a heart that has chosen love. This is your awakening, this is your rising. From this moment forward, you no longer walk as a seeker of meaning, you walk as the embodiment of meaning. You no longer wait for signs, you are the sign. You no longer question whether you are chosen, you know you are, and the world will come to see in you what life already knew all along, that everything was always working for you, shaping you, preparing you, refining you for this very moment of becoming.